Hello, welcome again to FAIRtax Power Radio. I'm Bob Paxton,
I'm Bob Scarborough.
and we are the FAIRtax Guys. Let's see, you have been released from witness protection. You are back at work and have your trusty scrolling banner there with you.
Made it through. I made it through the gauntlet.
Indeed. Well, again, I'd remind everyone that I have not heard anything more since this initially came out. But the scrolling banners, what little inventory they have left at fairtaxstore.org is going to be all there is, unless, Mr. Scarborough, you were able to come up with a supplier who can make those things and not require 25 years worth at one time, but you order that much at one time.
Well, we call it a scrolling banner.
Uh-huh.
And it goes by other names too. And depending on how you search for it, you're going to end up getting how do you make a scrolling banner for a website?
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
it'll take a minute to find it, but there should be somebody else. It's not
there's yeah, there should be. So I don't know who makes those things, but the guy who runs the store said that the supplier he was talking to, their minimum order would last us about 25 years, according to how rapidly those things have been going off the shelf. So if you'd like one, if we do find another supplier who could make those things, we will certainly continue to carry them. But as of now, the plan is that the scrolling banners will be a discontinued item once the current inventory sells out at fairtaxstore.org. So again, if you want one, you better go get it quick.
and I may have to get an extra one or two just to have them,
Yeah, I got a couple of them around here. I'm not sure exactly where they are, but that's it. Okay, we need to get going here on FAIRtax Power Radio. We will continue our series on what's wrong with the income tax. We could spend most of the year, I think, telling everybody exactly if we could list everything that's wrong with the income tax. It would probably take us most of the calendar year to get through it all, but we won't go that far. Anyway, we're now a couple of weeks deep into the new Congress. And then, yes, as you might expect, the Congress critters are indeed busy messing with the tax code again. And so we will dig right into our Congress.gov segment, beginning with S 3605. S 3605, obviously from the Senate side. That is from, let's see, Senator. What did I do with it? There it is. It's from Senator Lindsey Graham in South Carolina. A bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code to allow a portion of general business credit carry forwards to be transferred by certain taxpayers affected by federally declared disasters and other incidents. I assume you got all that, right?
And the thing about it is it's so complex, and they got somebody that's sitting up there writing the information that goes in to the bill's introduction.
Mm-hmm.
And you get it to the print to print it and have everybody look at it, and all of the people that you have that are set to help you push it through your committee and then on to the floor of the House. There's a lot of mumbo jumbo that gets put in there. A lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I said this has Senator Graham's name on it. I can guarantee you that he didn't write the bill.
Of course not.
A lobbyist somewhere did, I would imagine. But anyway, that's our first entry in Congress.gov today. And the next one also comes from the Senate side. This is Senator Hassan, Hassan of New Hampshire, S 3596, to amend the Internal Revenue Code to modify the earned income threshold for the refundable child tax credit. Again, that is a shining example of the incredible instability that exists in our income tax code, because you get one bill that'll change something, they'll get somebody that'll change it back the other way, and then they'll get rid of it, and then they'll put it back. The tax code is a constant mound of shifting sand. This is just an example thereof, then why we need to get rid of it, get something that is stable, that people can count on, that will be the same in the future as it is today, so businesses can plan properly, because, a lot of their business planning now is around the tax consequences of whatever they do. But this is going to amend the Internal Revenue Code. They're going to modify the earned income threshold for the refundable child tax credit. Probably going to say, I didn't see, there's no text in this yet, so I don't know if they're going to modify it up or down. But anyway, they're just constantly messing with the tax code like that, and it needs to go away.
And we have a pretty good chance, as we talked a little bit ago with our president, Steve, and he was saying this 2027 is as good a chance as any as we have, and we need to rally the troops. Those of you who are listening and watching, to be active during this season of the midterms.
Yeah, he said all that is contingent upon neither House of Congress flipping over to the other side. And again, the fair tax is a nonpartisan issue, but it's just simply a fact that the Democrat Party has historically been opposed to the fair tax. And if they get control of either, House of Congress in the midterms, then that's going to be really tough to get the fair tax through in that case. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, we can get the fair tax through, as our El Presidente hopes we can. Let's move on here on Fair Tax Power Radio with HR 6970, our third contested on Congress.gov today. This is from Representative Mike Rogers of Alabama to amend the Internal Revenue Code to exclude from gross income. Oops, wait a minute. Now we got income that counts as income. Now there's other income that doesn't count as income. Defining what income is a real problem with the tax system, but he wants to exclude from gross income the earnings from certain overseas deployments of members of the armed forces, which is probably a good thing. But then again, it just leads to somebody's getting a tax break. And you could certainly argue that people who are deployed on foreign soil in the armed forces may earn a tax break. But, how is it that some people earn it and some people don't? It's just not right that some people get a break and others don't. That is just rife throughout the entire tax code. And bills like this, there have been hundreds of them passed in the history of the country here. And it just all needs to go away in favor of the fair tax that treats everybody the same across the board.
And not all members of the armed forces, just certain overseas yes, of members of the armed forces. So you're parsing into the armed forces in general to this is what this bill is focusing on, a specific, maybe even a specific deployment, if not more than one.
Okay, we've got to move on here before we run out of time. This one's really cool. This is from Representative Bradley Schneider of Illinois, HR 6956. It's the Barcode Efficiency Act, which in effect, I opened up this one does have some text in it, but it basically says that stuff that you send to the IRS, now has to have a barcode on it. Let me open this up and get into the text and read it to you exactly. Here you go. It says to require electronically prepared tax returns to include scannable code when submitted on paper, and require the use of optical character recognition technology for paper documents received by the Internal Revenue Service. And it says, again, that they will be able to return shall bear a code which, when scanned, converts the data included in such return to electronic format. How about that? How about we just get rid of tax returns altogether and not have to submit a tax return with or without a barcode? Just pay your federal taxes at the cash register when you buy things, and it's a whole lot simpler.
Exactly. And that's what we're all about, is simplicity and efficiency. With fair tax, you get that. And you get privacy. You don't have to worry about your income being mushed up into a big computer over the Treasury.
Okay, our time's getting away from us here. We got one more I want to get into, and this is again from the Senate side. Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee has introduced S 3587, a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code to provide an exemption from gross income. Oh, some more stuff that's not going to count. For interest paid to taxpayers by the Internal Revenue Service following an audit or litigation in which the taxpayer prevailed. So if you take the IRS to some kind of procedure, you're contesting something they say about it, and you win as a taxpayer, and the IRS has to pay you interest because they've held your money that they weren't entitled to, that they are now going to exempt that interest from gross income if Senator Blackbird's bill passes and is signed into law. How cool. Again, more complexity, get rid of it, replace it with a fair tax.
Crazy. Just, I mean, and folks that listen to this program or watch it on a regular basis understand this. And the key is going to be to begin a conversation with your neighbors and with your elected officials about how to go about getting rid of the income tax altogether.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, people are not going to be receptive to the idea of getting rid of the income tax until they are convinced that it's broken, that there's so much wrong with it. So let's continue our series here. What is wrong with the income tax? If you haven't been listening to the previous episodes, a few weeks ago we asked an artificial intelligence application to list the top 10 things that are wrong with the income tax code. And we've gotten halfway through the list here, so we're now on point number 6. And it's listed as economic distortions. The income tax system discourages work. This is something you talk about all the time. It discourages work. It discourages savings. It discourages investment by taxing productive activities. Therefore, it reduces the economic growth. It reduces job creation, capital formation. All would be much higher, much more productive under a consumption tax rather than the income tax. It is just the income tax is bad for the economy. That's just the simplest way we can put it.
Absolutely. And the challenges that small business owners especially face, they're going to pay retail for somebody to help them navigate the challenges of the tax code. And then, especially this time of year, you give up your entire month of January and February and sometimes part of March while you, as the business owner, wait for forms to come to you so you can put forms in your folder and send them off to your CPA or your advisor to help you. In the meantime, you could be relaxing,
Yes.
deciding, hey, I need to go work on some new ideas.
Yeah, but all of that stuff you just mentioned costs you money,
Right.
which means the cost of doing business is artificially higher than it needs to be.
Right.
And as a business owner, you don't eat that cost. You pass it on to your consumers. You pass it on to your employees in less generous benefit packages. You pass it on to consumers in the form of higher prices. It is insane. And Steve Hayes talks about this all the time. It is insane how much tax cost that we never see on your receipt is being passed on to we the consumers by the income tax system. It's just crazy.
It is. And I think business owners are probably in this cycle, where they know what January and part of February and maybe part of March too are going to look like every year. And so they could say, okay, well, I guess this is how it's going to be. But now people are starting to come around and going, there's got to be a better way to do this. And we've had it since 1999, HR 25, introduced to every Congress. And so here we are at a time where we have the President of the United States speaking of, literally using the words, we're getting rid of the Internal Revenue Service. And hopefully with enough inertia behind us as we've had, and with help from people that are listening to this program or watching it, to get out there and actually move that needle in a positive direction to get rid of the income tax, the Internal Revenue Service, and then after that, the 16th Amendment.
Indeed. Of course, the president was talking when he was doing all this tariff stuff earlier in his term. He said he was going to establish the External Revenue Service. I haven't heard much more about that since that. We'll have to look it up and see. Does the External Revenue Service actually exist? Maybe that's something you can Google real quick, but that's something that the president was talking about. We want to replace the Internal Revenue Service with the External Revenue Service. Of course, that was related to all the tariffs. He wanted people outside the country to supply the money that we need to fund the government. That may work somewhat on a temporary basis. You know, that you read the news and the president is talking about how many billions of dollars we've collected in tariffs and all, but there are eventually ways to get around that. And in fact, there's a whole industry devoted to getting around stuff like that. So the tariffs are really not a viable way to replace the income tax system. The fair tax was specifically designed to do just that. It was a specific tax replacement program that was hatched by some of the most noted economists in the country at the time in the mid 90s, when the folks down there in Houston decided there's got to be a better way to do this, and they commissioned this group of economists to design the best tax system they possibly could from the ground up. And then what they came up with eventually came to be known as the fair tax. It wasn't called that right out of the box, but that's it. But if you have a tax system that discourages you from working, if you work harder, you make more money. If you make more money, the government takes more of it. And if you bump up to another tax bracket, you could actually end up with less in your pocket after the deductions come out than you had before you got your raise. That is crazy that a tax system would do that. And it's crazy that the government would take money out of your pocket before you even get it. With withholding, you feed the government before you feed your family. With the fair tax, it's the other way around, because the prebate gives you back everything you pay in taxes at the cash register on your spending for basic necessities. You don't take a dime out of your pocket until your spending rises above the poverty level and your basic necessities are taken care of. The income tax just has it so backwards in so many ways, by discouraging work, by discouraging savings, by taxing the interest and dividends you get off of it. That's the same way it discourages investment. It just taxes productive activities, and that is a real drag on the economy. It is amazing that the projections we've seen said GDP growth could be in double digits easily if we had the fair tax versus the income tax. So the economy is just suffering badly under the income tax. People don't really understand that, but that's the truth.
Well, and the inertia behind, I mean, as we talked a minute ago about January, February, part of March, you're spending all this time, and then you start looking at, obviously your business is going to continue to run through that first quarter, but you spend there's a lot of time spent on, if you're not, if you're a one-man operation, or you and your wife, or one another, you and a son, or something along those lines, you're going to end up having all kinds of time to move forward and be competitive and innovative at the same time. And your employees or your staff will be much better off financially, because that dollar isn't coming out to go to the federal government right off the top.
Okay, we need to move on here. Number 7 on the list. Go ahead and hit that one, sir, if you would.
There are numerous loopholes and special interests. This is one of the list of the top 10 commonly cited criticisms of the income tax system. Deductions, credits, and exemptions that are often lobbied for, as we talk on Congress.gov every week. Those items create inequities and allow influence buying. This makes them riddled with favoritism.
There you go. I mean, we look at it every week, except when we have a special guest on. But every week we look at Congress.gov. We see what the Congress critters are trying to do to the tax code. Deductions, credits, exclusions from income, changing the criteria for getting those deductions and credits and exclusions from income. Now, I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but what we do, we put in the words Internal Revenue Code in quotes at the top of the search function at the Congress.gov page. Selecting just legislation of the current Congress, hit the go button. And as of today, we're recording this on January 16th, 1,515 hits that search brings back. So that shows you just how busy the Congress critters are going to be. It'll be over 2,000 by the time this Congress ends in December. But the numerous deductions and credits and exemptions, and some people get them and some people don't get them. And it's just crazy the way they do that. And again, the fair tax treats everybody the same. You pay the fair tax anonymously at the cash register when you buy something. It doesn't matter how much you make. It doesn't matter how much you spend. Well, it does kind of. How much you spend, the more you spend, the more tax you pay. But you don't have to deal with these deductions and credits and exemptions because everybody's spending is taxed the same way. Everybody gets the refund of the taxes they pay on their basic necessities. And there is no favoritism with the fair tax. The way the system, I love the way the AI application says the system is riddled with favoritism. And that favoritism is often bought, you know. But again, as control of Congress switches back and forth between the two parties, first one group gets the favorable treatment and the other group gets the unfavorable treatment. Then Congress flips and it goes the other way around. It's just nuts that we have a tax system that allows that. And it's about time people opened their eyes and saw that and realized, hey, we need to get rid of this sorry thing.
Right. And again, we always talk about the fact that none of us that are living, a few of us were around back when there was no income tax. Not many.
I don't know, 1913, you know anybody that's what, 112 years old? Actually, 113. You'd have to be 113 years old who have been alive when the income tax was first implemented. I don't think there's anybody alive today that has lived under a no income tax economy in this country.
And if they were born in 1913, they'd be that little wee bitty baby and not somebody that was even concerned about taxes at that time, income tax or not.
Yeah, that's part of the problem too. The income tax has been so totally ingrained into the psyche of this country. Again, nobody alive, or at least certainly nobody working today, has ever lived under a system where there was no income. They just accept it as the way it is. I mean, it's just like the sun rises in the east. The government takes its share of your taxes before you get your paycheck. It's just the way it is. People do not realize yet. No, it does not have to be that way. We have got a better way. It's been around for 25 years and then some. There is a better way to do it that does not have all these deductions and credits and exemptions that favor one group of people over another and penalize one group of people that don't contribute to the right political candidates, et cetera, et cetera. We don't have to put up with that system, folks. We have got a better way. H.R. 25, the fair tax, replaces thousands upon thousands upon thousands of pages of tax code and case law and regulations and this, that, with a little 133 pages of fair tax. That's how long the fair tax bill is. It's insane. I got a tickle in my throat. Look out.
The thing I suggest you do is go to fairtaxstore.org, fairtaxstore.org. There are a couple of items that are on there, the printed materials section, that are at no charge. Probably here in the next few weeks or a month, get the updated business card pack that has the prebate schedule on it for 2026.
Yep.
And you get that for free. You get a pack of 50, no charge for the item and no charge for shipping. You need to have these on hand that you can pass out to friends, relatives, your next door neighbor, the mailman, anybody that might be interested in a revolutionary idea like the fair tax. So go to fairtax.org and look for printed materials, and the two items are there. You get a pack of 50 of each at no charge, and the shipping is no charge as well.
Yep, FAIRtax store. I just figured out what's wrong. Why my throat's? I don't have my can of cheerwine. But between recording sessions here, I'm going to have to go to the refrigerator and get my can of cheerwine, which I don't have. But that's it. The current income tax discourages work, savings, and investment. It is riddled with deductions and credits and exemptions. Paid for by lobbyists, and that's the reason we can't get rid of the income tax. Because the Congress critters are making too much money selling tax favors, and you don't do that with the fair tax. Now, I'm sure some people are going to try. Lobbyists are going to try to get exemptions into the fair tax, but the thing is, you get away with these exemptions and credits and stuff because people, if it doesn't affect me personally, I don't care. It's what a lot of people are thinking. But every time you change something about the fair tax, it's going to affect everybody. Everybody's going to feel it, and it's just going to be a lot harder to go messing with the fair tax the way the Congress critters are messing with the income tax. And so we need to get rid of all this junk replace it with the fair tax. And I tell you what, you're right. You need to lean on people. And let me mention as well, too, you can go to fairtax.org. And I think under the Get Involved section, somewhere up there, there is a fair tax candidate pledge that
Yeah.
you can download, print a hard copy thereof. So when people that are running for Congress in your district, if you go to their town halls, if you get to see them at various events and whatever, just take one of these with them and see if they'll sign it. Will you sign on to supporting getting rid of the income tax and getting rid of the all of this junk we've been talking about? And hopefully, if you can get your congressperson or congressional candidate to sign that pledge, let us know about it and get some pictures and all. We'll get that publicized for you. And so we'd love to see. I see a few candidates have already signed it, and work on that during this midterm election season. Getting your local candidates to sign the fair tax pledge. Download a copy at fairtax.org.
That's the best thing to do. I mean, and it doesn't take it doesn't take a minute to hand those cards out or get the pledge out there, and you can use that as a little bit of leverage. Say, hey, I'll be glad to support you, maybe contribute to your campaign and everything, but I need you to pledge.
I tell you, we'll have to establish. So we'll call it the John Gaver Activity Award. John Gaver, who used to live in Texas. I mean, he got more candidates to sign the fair tax pledge than everybody else in the country combined. I mean, way to go, John. So I tell you, be John Gaver. He has now moved to Panama, but I still think he's still active in trying to get candidates to sign the fair tax pledge. But we will have a John Gaver Community Recognition Award to the person you can get the most candidates to sign the fair tax pledge here in this election cycle. You just came off the top of my head.
You go to fairtax.org, go to the Get Involved tab, and there's plenty of information on the Get Involved tab to help you build a team to work with you. But that candidate pledge is located under the Get Involved tab. You just click on it, and it's in a form that you can print out. Carry it with you.
I think it's a PDF you can download it and print it. And I say we've got several of them to do that. Go ahead and do that, and we will get that publicized. Let us know that you've got one. Send us pictures, and we can take it from there. But I'm afraid that's going to do it for this edition of Fair Tax Power Radio. We're not quite through the what's wrong with the income tax list. We will conclude that next week here as we go through the artificial intelligence list of what is wrong with the income tax. And hopefully we might even be able to add some stuff on our own that they didn't come up with. But again, thank you for watching and listening, sharing the videos on social media. That helps us a great deal. And so until we meet again, we're going to have to leave it right here. I'm Bob Paxton.
I'm Scarborough.
We are the FAIRtax Guys, reminding you the fair tax is the only truly fair tax. And once you understand it,
we'll demand it.
So tell me how it works.
It's probably changed since the last time I saw it, but the short answer would be, you want to take this one?
Oh, sure. Okay. Imagine bringing home everything you make. You don't get taxed for saving or accumulating wealth, and your boss doesn't get taxed more even if he pays you more.
Wow, now see, that's amazing.
So the end result of all that is the cost of producing products and running a business goes down, so things cost less. And on top of all that, imagine every criminal, non-citizen, and under-the-table worker also paying taxes.
That's amazing.
That's the fair tax. We tax what you consume as you consume it, and that's it.